As soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the f*** they're doing.
Donald Trump is once again claiming he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, this time for brokering a ceasefire between Iran and Israel. Ironically, it was just days ago that Trump had effectively pulled the US deeper into their conflict. Now he wants to take credit for ending it. He declared the fighting was over and announced that both countries had agreed to stand down, but Iran countered by saying Trump had pleaded for a ceasefire. In truth, if there were an award for most dramatic attempt at peace, Trump might be a contender. But when it comes to the Middle East, separating fact from fiction is nearly impossible, and a nuclear war here would be catastrophic. The region is already volatile, and in the last 2 weeks, we witnessed just how fast things can spiral. On June 13th, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, claiming Iran was approaching nuclear capability. Iran retaliated fiercely, targeting Israeli territory for over a week. Then, on June 21st, the US entered the picture, delivering bunker-busting munitions meant to cripple Iran's nuclear infrastructure. But the world still doesn't know if those efforts succeeded. Iran's response escalated the situation further as it targeted the Al-Udeid US airbase in Qatar using ballistic missiles, an act many feared would trigger World War III. Yet, amid the tension, Trump tweeted that both sides had agreed to a ceasefire. He claimed Iran had vented its anger, and now it was time for peace. On June 23rd, he declared via Truth Social that a truce would begin at 7 a.m. Tehran time, with Israel following suit within 12 hours. The world was skeptical. How could two countries locked in such intense fighting suddenly agree to stop? Even Qatari leadership, which had helped mediate, was reportedly stunned. Initially, Iranian state media dismissed the ceasefire as propaganda. But then Iran's foreign minister tweeted something that hinted at cooperation. Iran would stop if Israel ceased further aggression. Meanwhile, despite Trump's declaration, rockets continued to fly. Israel was still carrying out strikes, including one near Tehran, where a radar installation was hit just minutes after Trump's peace message. Trump then criticized Israel, suggesting it wasn't listening to him. The irony was stark. Israel, which he had so passionately defended in the past, seemed to be ignoring his calls for restraint. In fact, this showcased a long-standing dynamic. America doesn't control Israel. Rather, it often follows its lead. Even Trump couldn't get Netanyahu to back down. Eventually, both sides formally announced the ceasefire. Iran's Supreme National Security Council declared that they had dealt a humiliating and proportionate response to the enemy and taught Israel a lesson. Netanyahu echoed this, claiming Israel had achieved all its objectives in Operation Rising Lion, controlling Tehran's skies, damaging Iran's military and intelligence infrastructure, and degrading its nuclear program. But despite these proclamations of mission accomplished, Israel warned that any further provocation would be met with force. The ceasefire, in reality, was more of a pause with fingers still on triggers. So, who actually won? And who lost? The US and Israel wanted to cripple Iran's nuclear program and ideally push for regime change. While some damage may have been done, most experts agree Iran's program is far from destroyed, and may now proceed with even more urgency. Iran could potentially expel IAEA inspectors, exit the Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT, and point to Israel's own nuclear opacity as justification. That would be a strategic setback for Israel, possibly pushing Iran closer to developing a nuclear weapon rather than stopping it. Another blow was to Israel's military pride. Despite its sophisticated missile defense systems, Iron Dome, Arrow 2, and Arrow 3, Iran successfully launched attacks without external support. It showed resilience and strategic independence, forcing Israel to lean on the US militarily. Though America joined the fight briefly, domestic backlash made Trump hesitant to prolong involvement, especially with elections approaching. If Trump does get a Nobel Prize, it would likely be more for theatrics than diplomacy. Iran knew that full-scale war with the US would be suicidal, but it needed to save face. So it fired on the Al-Udeid base in Qatar, but not before warning the US in advance. No American lives were lost, and Trump took this as a green light to de-escalate. This carefully coordinated move allowed both sides to back away without appearing weak. But the broader geopolitical picture reveals China's silent but strategic role. As the US scrambles to contain Iran, it's asking China to intervene, to stop Iran from closing the Strait of Hormuz, a move that would cripple global oil supply and hurt China as well. Yet China is no passive player. Just weeks before this conflict erupted, on May 25, 2025, China and Iran launched a massive new rail corridor as part of Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative. This 10,400 kilometers line from Lebanon to Tehran slashes shipping times from over a month to just 15 days, enabling Iran to export oil while skirting US sanctions. China now buys 90% of Iran's oil exports. It has signed a $400 billion, 25-year investment deal with Iran. This is not just a trade pact, it's a strategic alliance. Iran even uses China's satellite navigation system instead of GPS. With this level of integration, will China really stand by and watch the US bomb its closest energy partner? Unlikely. The truth is, the Middle East's future will be shaped more by China's shadow diplomacy than by Trump's tweets. And while Iran and Israel posture and claim victory, the humanitarian cost, especially in Gaza, continues to rise. Civilians are still being killed while standing in line for food. No superpower defends them. The ceasefire may hold for now, but if the international community continues to ignore the suffering of the powerless, the next explosion is only a matter of time.